Whether good or bad, WCW served up some of the most memorable moments in wrestling history. Now, it's a shame that modern fans in particular tend to talk about the bad rather than the good, though, in fairness, for every match the caliber of the 1992 War Games match, there's a Judy Bagwell on a forklift, a Doomsday cage, and a finger poke of doom. But the thing about those moments is they were all planned, they were all part of the script and supposed to happen. But what about the ones that weren't? Well, some of them even put Mrs. Bagwell to shame. I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and these are 10 WCW moments that weren't supposed to happen. Number 10, the lights go out at Halloween Havoc 98. In a moment so WCW you might think it was made up if you didn't already know about it, the promotion accidentally had the pay-per-view feed for Halloween Havoc 1998 cut with several providers before the show was even supposed to end. Now, this might not have been so bad if it didn't happen smack bang in the middle of a great main event between Goldberg and DDP, but it did, and WCW, well, they looked like tits. They had no choice but to replay the match on Nitro the following evening, having run out of broadcast time. But how did this happen? Because they ran Halloween Havoc for 3.5 hours rather than the usual 3, and seemingly forgot to tell anybody. Divvies. Number 9, Booker T, Television Champion. The second of Booker T's 6 TV title reigns started at Super Brawl 8, when he pinned Rick Martel, who had only began his own reign just 6 days prior. This wasn't supposed to happen. Martel was originally booked to beat Booker, then face Perry Saturn immediately after, but he suffered torn knee ligaments in the first match, leading to the on-the-fly decision to have Booker go over and face Saturn. Now, Booker and Perry were then forced to call it in the ring in the next match, and they did a decent job given the circumstances, but it's not anything you need to go out of your way to see, really. As for Martel, well, those injuries basically ruined his career, and he barely wrestled again. Poor guy. Number 8, Goldberg vs. Regal gets real. Squash matches were a huge reason for Goldberg getting over in WCW. In fact, they were pretty much the main reason. Crushing overmatched goobers was how he got over, how he made himself famous. And in February 98 on Nitro, Steven Regal was asked to be that goober for the night. It soon became apparent that not everything was going to plan. Regal was working a little snugger, a little stiffer with Goldberg, stifling the big man with shoot-style moves, making him look like a prize tit in the process. Bill was taken off his game, and while Goldberg still won, he was given a lot more trouble than usual. Now, Regal has since disputed reports that he went off script, but rumours persist that he basically decided to unjob himself rather than existing solely to make Goldberg look good on the evening. In unrelated news, Regal was fired soon after. Number 7, Bobby Heenan loses it. Want to see Bobby Heenan blowing his top? Well, go back to Clash of the Champions 32, when he absolutely loses it as Brian Pillman comes from behind and tries to grab his jacket. "What the f*** are you doing?" shouts Heenan, perhaps worried that a member of the crowd had jumped the barrier and was getting a little handsy. He even pulls his headset off and turned around as if he was getting ready for a fight, becoming the latest guy to fall victim to Pillman's improvised larking around. Heenan later got back to the desk and apologised for the outburst, but you can understand why a guy with his history of neck problems wouldn't be okay with capers like this. Number 6, Nick Patrick's fast count. Starrcade 97 was supposed to be it. The big night when Sting, the top babyface, would topple the New World Order, defeat Hulk Hogan, and become WCW champion. The finish was supposed to be heel referee Nick Patrick screwing Sting with a fast count, allowing a restart and a bigger babyface pop when Sting won fairly. Only Patrick didn't do a fast count, it was just a regular old count, making everyone look like a bell end when the match was restarted. So did Hogan tell Patrick to do this to make him look good and Sting look weak, as well as the debuting Bret Hart? Well, we hate to speculate, but it's not like I'll dare to play politics, is it? Number 5, Dean Milenko forgets the rules. He might be one of the smoothest wrestlers of all time, but Dean Malenko's last WCW match will always be remembered for this botch. Milenko was wrestling Billy Kidman at Sold Out 2000. It had a weird little rule set on it stipulating that if either man left the ring, they'd be disqualified. Though the ring announcer made this clear to the audience, either nobody told Milenko or he just straight up forgot. Either that, or he couldn't be arsed. Less than 2 minutes in, Dean bailed on Kidman and rolled to the outside. Charles Robinson, the referee, had no choice but to call the DQ or risk looking like a dope himself. But everyone was left with a red face thanks to a rare lapse from Mr. Milenko. Number 4. The Shockmaster. I mean, Christ, do I even have to explain this one? It's just one of those wrestling moments you take for granted, assuming everyone has seen it because, well, how could you not have seen it? The Shockmaster falling arse over tit in his glittery Stormtrooper helmet is the stuff of legend. Unfortunately, some silly sausage left a big plank of wood nailed over the gap in the wall that he was supposed to burst through. Fred Ottman, cape and all, landed on his face, lost the moment, and left Ric Flair pissing with laughter. As for Davey Boy Smith's reaction, well, I've already sworn once in this video, don't think I can get away with it a second time. It was obviously impossible for the Shockmaster to come back from that, so rather than making him this serious, earth-shattering character they originally planned, WCW shelved his main event run and went full comedy. But let's be honest, the act would have probably fallen apart even if Ottman had stayed on his feet. It was the motherlode of bad ideas. Just look at that bloody helmet, man. That was never getting over. Number 3. Chris Jericho's rise. This isn't so much a moment, but the period in the late 90s after Jericho had turned from vanilla babyface to one of the most entertaining things in the entire industry as a WCW heel, thus kickstarting his rise to megastardom. What effectively got this going was Eric Bischoff saying to Jericho, hey, here's 10 to 15 minutes of Nitro, just go out and do whatever the hell you want. And the resulting material was so goddamn good, it gradually made Jericho one of the most over guys in the company, rivaling even WCW's Sacred Cow main eventers. This led to a planned feud with Goldberg that was cancelled before it got a proper blow-off. Jericho was never supposed to get that popular, and after being admonished for his perceived rudeness, this was the moment that Jericho knew he was never going to break the glass ceiling in WCW. Number 2. Goldberg ends Bret Hart's full-time career. Of all the ways Bret Hart could have predicted his career ending, being kicked unconscious by Goldberg probably wasn't one of them. But that's exactly what happened at Starrcade 99. Bret took a brutal big boot from Goldberg after coming off the ropes. Concussed and with torn neck muscles, the Hitman was never the same again, and while he kept wrestling for another few weeks afterwards, his in-ring career was effectively done. Years of other health problems followed, and it's something that Hart has never truly forgiven Goldberg for, repeatedly calling him the most dangerous wrestler that he ever worked with. Now, Goldberg obviously didn't do this on purpose, but Hart had his whole world taken away from him that night. His lingering resentment is understandable. Number 1. Scott Steiner promotes the WWF. Now this isn't quite the legendary Steiner math promo from TNA, but Big Papa Pump cut another ripper on the 7th of February 2000 episode of Nitro, typical of his verbal diarrhea and holding nothing back. He called Ric Flair a jealous old bastard, saying that he was the reason millions of people were changing the channel to head over to Raw, and then openly put the then WWF's product over, saying that WCW sucks. It was one hell of a rant, and one that nobody backstage could have seen coming, as there was no chance in hell that anyone would have signed off on this had they known that Steiner was going to go out there, bury their own promotion, and promote the competition. Steiner even said that WWE's top guy, Steve Austin, was the coolest star in the industry. In summary, a great shoot promo, if he was on the WWF roster. So that's our list, but what do you guys think? And can you think of any others? Let us know down in the comments section below. After that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Then, you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE and myself at Andy H. Murray, where you can tell me how wrong I am. Goodbye!